Hello, everybody. Welcome to There and Back Again. We have a special treat today. We have Dr. Sarah Brown joining us for a little chat. Sarah, hi. Thank you for coming on.
Hey. Well, thank you so much for inviting me, Jeremy. It's really nice to be here.
Awesome. So I personally was first introduced to Sarah. I'm not even sure. It was either Prancing Pony Podcast or Rings of Power Wrap Up, or possibly a Tolkien Experience podcast. I'm not even sure which one. She's done so many things. So since I've been introduced to Sarah, let's see her. She has been, again, Prancing Pony Podcast, Rings of Power Wrap Up, Tolkien Experience Podcast. Let's see here. At Signum University, I have graduate faculty chair, language and literature department chair, lecturer, the MA thesis coordinator, a preceptor, a space preceptor, which, side note, I've had Sarah as a space preceptor. It was great. Actually, twice. Discussion for Rings of Power season 1, 2.5 years ago now. We lost Sarah for a second there. And then the first month that Signum Space offered the collected poems of Tolkien, I was only able to do that for 1 month, but her lecture on Lemminkainen was actually phenomenal.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Of course, lastly, she's the winner twice over of a Tolkien Society Award for Best Article. Including actually the one we're going to talk about today. Did I miss anything, Sarah?
Oh, I don't think so. I think that's plenty, don't you?
That's plenty of things. So really, the first thing I want to ask, and you can be as long-winded or short-winded as you'd like. What's your? And I don't think I've ever heard this in anything else that I've heard you on. What is your Tolkien origin story?
Oh, actually, it's quite a sweet origin story because it involves my dad.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, my dad who passed, oh goodness, 15 years ago now. He gave me, when I was 8, maybe 9, his copy of The Lord of the Rings off his shelf, just to kind of keep me quiet for a bit, I think, because I was one of those precocious, voracious readers who could get through a book in no time flat. And he thought, okay, well, let's challenge her and see how she does with this. I devoured it. I loved it. And I then went looking for more stuff by this J.R.R. Tolkien bloke. And there was a book called The Hobbit. So I thought, okay, I'll have that. And I was a little bit confused because it didn't follow on or anything. It didn't even seem to be a prequel, except for some ring connection was there. And it was okay. It was okay. And then I got hold of a book called The Silmarillion. Yeah, I was only 9. I didn't get very far with it. I put it away and I came back to it when I was about maybe 11 or 12. And I did actually read it at that point, but I would love to tell you that I actually understood all of it, but I'd be lying. I think I enjoyed some of the stories, and because I was really into Greek mythology and Roman mythology and Norse mythology and all that kind of thing, I kind of felt like it was Middle-earth mythology. And so I read it from that point of view. The Lord of the Rings remained my favorite, and I kept coming back to that quite a lot. And then when I was a little bit older, I actually did the sensible thing. And I read The Hobbit first and then The Lord of the Rings and went, okay, this clicks now. And then I came back to the Silmarillion at some point in my early 20s. Okay. And everything kind of made sense at that point. So that was really good. At that point, because I am incredibly old, and not all of the history of Middle-earth had been published, so I didn't have access to all of that yet. But then, you kind of get on with life, and you do stuff, and you start a career, and you have a family, and all that kind of thing. And then the Jackson films came out. And I don't know, something just took root in my brain, and I thought, I want to do something more. I mean, I like the films very much. Yeah. Don't ask me about the Hobbit films. All right.
No, we won't get into that. We don't have time for that.
Let's not do that. But I just got this kind of bug, and I thought I want to do something more. And I decided, as you do when you're working as a teacher and you have a very young child and a husband, I know I'll do a PhD.
Sure.
Everyone. Because that's not stupid at all, right? That makes total sense. So I actually did, because I have very rarely been known to do things that make total sense.
Sure.
Yeah, so that took me about 6 years. And in the last 2 years of that, I was working full-time as a teacher and, a young daughter and all of that. So it was kind of tough. And when I finished, which was in 2013, I said to my daughter, okay, it's your time now. And I was done. And I just did the mum thing, the work thing, the wife thing, the whole thing. And then,
which is a lot of work in and of itself.
Yes, it was quite a lot. But then my daughter turned 18, and I thought, you know what? It's my turn again now, because she was off doing her university thing. And in the meantime, I'd been working for Signum since 2012, because you do other jobs on top of the other jobs on top of the other jobs, because that's what we do, right? And I'd been doing courses for them. And then in 2020, Corey offered me the position of chair of faculty, and I said, oh, that sounds like fun. And I'm doing that instead, because having 30 years under your belt as a teacher of teenagers, I think you've done your time, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't last one. So, yeah.
Anyway, that was a very long-winded Tolkien origin story, but that's kind of it. I didn't embark on anything intending to be an academic.
Cool. Well, I appreciate that story. I love that story, because it's got the, I was a child and I read all this stuff, but then you went this different route that I hear some people do, which is super cool. How did you actually get started with Signum in the first place?
I first met Corey Olsen although he barely remembers it because it's a very, very long time ago, it's 20 years, in 2005 in the Tolkien Society Big Birmingham thing that was on in 2005. I met him there, and then because of that, I got interested in his Tolkien Professor podcast.
Met Corey, doing a thing in Birmingham.
Oh, yes. Started watching Corey's podcasts and listening to Corey's podcasts, and then started watching him. And I actually got in touch with him, and just we were emailing a little bit. And then I met up with him at the Tolkien Society Bash in 2012 in Loughborough. And we talked then. Prior to that, about a year before that, or maybe two, there was this very strange little conference in the middle of nowhere in Wales, near Aberystwyth, in a little, brace yourself for some Welsh here, in a tiny village called Pentredd Fandigaid.
Okay.
Yeah, just nod. It's fine. And at that point, he started talking to me about this university he was thinking of putting together. And I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. So I was talking to him about it. So I was talking to him, and I thought that this is a good idea, but I had my career and everything else. I was barely embarked on my PhD, didn't think it would have much to do with me. When I met him again in 2012, he invited me to join Signum.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, so I can remember having a little online interview with him and talked about what I was interested in doing. And before I knew it, I was teaching a course, maybe once a semester or a couple of times a year or something like that. And it just kind of snowballed. So that's how I got together with Signum, and Signum is awesome. So I'm very lucky there.
That's awesome. So what was your first course that you taught? Now I'm just curious.
The first course that I taught was The World of Tolkien's Middle-earth with Verlin Flieger.
Oh, wow. Okay. Verlin Flieger was your co-instructor in the first class you taught at, which is awesome.
Talk about throwing you in at the deep end, right?
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, so she was doing the lectures.
Okay.
And I was doing the class discussion sessions. But I got to watch all her lectures as well, which was pretty amazing. I mean, it's Verlin Flieger.
Yeah, somebody that's not a bad person to learn from.
No, not one bit. And she's still teaching, she's still doing online courses, and she's absolutely incredible. I mean, I aspire to be a tenth as sharp as this woman is at the age of 92. She's incredible.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I knew she was older. I didn't realize it was 92. Okay. Which that's crazy. The funny thing is, so I was listening to Tolkien Experience podcast. I was way behind, but I was catching up, and you were interviewing Verlin Flieger and talked about your the article that you were working on about alchemy and the One Ring, and you were pretty vague about it. I would say necessarily, since you hadn't published it yet. She was very supportive, which is cool. But I realized I had like just read that article like a week or two before, so it was just like weird. Inception's the wrong word, but like this weird like
I
meta
know what you mean.
moment.
Yeah.
This super meta moment there. So it was super cool. But I wanted to ask you like about that article. Like, first off, what made you write that article? Like, what got it in your mind to be like, you know what? This is the like the line of research I'm gonna go down.
Okay. For that, we have to kind of rewind a few years
Okay.
while I was actually doing my PhD research.
Mhm.
And somebody passed me a book by someone called John Granger,
Okay.
who had done an alchemical reading of Harry Potter. Now, your mileage may vary on Harry Potter, and your mileage may definitely vary on Harry Potter's author. But one of the things I've often felt is that Harry Potter is quite derivative of Tolkien. There's a heck of a lot in there that is very Tolkien. And that's a whole other show in which we could do that. It would take an hour. But one of the things that I noticed when I was reading this, I was unwell at the time. I had very little else to do. I was sitting in bed. I was reading this book, and I thought, hang on a minute. All these patterns that Granger has picked up on Harry Potter, these are patterns that are also in the Lord of the Rings. So I don't know how much you know about alchemical patterning or anything like that, but there's a color scheme to it almost.
Okay.
This is the quick and dirty version of
Yeah.
alchemy, right? Okay. So the alchemist takes the work through various stages.
Mhm.
And the first stage is the Negredo, which is the black stage in which everything is just thrown into the pot and it's all a mess.
Okay.
Okay. And you light the fire and you start the cooking process, and you get all the smoke and the nasties because everything in there is impure. And then the next stage is the albedo, which is the white stage, and
Okay.
it is a purification stage in which you wash what is in your alembic, which is the posh and fancy name for what they
Okay.
call their cauldron. And then there are a couple of stages in between, but they kind of got dropped in the Middle Ages, like the citrinas, for example, citrinitas rather, which is the yellow stage, which is exemplified by an old man figure, which, right. But then the final stage is the rubedo, which is the red stage,
Okay.
in which you have fire and blood and redness and all that kind of thing. And it's the absolute heat of everything until finally you get gold. And
Okay.
the gold at the end is the absolute pure end result of all the mess that went into the cauldron at the start. At the end comes out gold. Now, the way we've thought about alchemists in the past is that it's a bunch of dodgy blokes with cloaks muttering over cauldrons trying to turn lead into gold. And in some ways, yes, but in many ways, no, because actually it was a highly spiritual practice. The whole idea actually was the transmutation of the soul. So it was about the flawed human working through the process to cleanse the soul and to emerge at the other end with a soul that is worthy of ascending to heaven, the pure gold. Okay. So I started thinking, okay, black, white, red, this is interesting. Because oddly enough, I knew the Lord of the Rings pretty much off by heart at this point because I'd been working with it day after day after day after day. So I'm thinking that's super interesting because in the Fellowship of the Ring, there's a hell of a lot of images of blackness. So you've got the Black Riders, you have the darkness of the mines of Moria, and there's other places as well where you get that kind of imagery coming through.
Yeah.
And then if you move to the Two Towers, suddenly you see an increase in images that are white. You go to Lothlorien, you have the lady dressed in white, and you have the white Nimrodel. You have the water washing through. You go to Rohan, and you have the symbol Muna, the white flowers. There's just white popping up everywhere. And then you go to the Return of the King, and suddenly we get increasing redness. You've got the fires of Mount Doom and the heat, and even in the Fields of Cormallen chapter, you've got Sam and Frodo's faces flushing red. It's just, I thought, well, I'm seeing a lot of this. That's really quite interesting. So, of course, I reread the whole book and went through it, because that's what you do, and found that actually within each book, you could see a black, white, red as well. I wrote about that in my thesis, and so far so okay. But something occurred to me. The One Ring is supposed to be gold. But if I'm reading The Lord of the Rings in an alchemical fashion, gold is pure. It's absolute. It's the end result of the alchemical process. Now, obviously, bear in mind, this is an alchemical reading. There are so many. But if you're going to read it alchemically, then you've got to ask the question, what's up with the One Ring?
Yeah.
Right? So I read The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit again, this time looking very specifically. You have to understand, I didn't have Kindle versions where you could do a search, and James Tauber's work wasn't available. I just had my paperbacks and my pencil, right?
Oh, goodness.
And I went through them looking for every single reference to the ring. And I discovered that the ring is not described as gold, which is a bit of a shock. Right? There's an assumption there that it is. It's actually described as being like gold, or golden, which implies color, not the metal itself. I mean, all of this is in the essay, so I know you've read this already, but it was a bit of a shock to me when I was reading this, going, maybe there's something here. In that case, okay, if it's never described as gold, that has to be deliberate, because everything Tolkien wrote was deliberate. In fact, it was pondered over, rewritten, gone back on, rewritten again. So it's deliberate. So why is this so? I thought, well, maybe there is an indication in the text that the ring is an impure artifact. Well, that makes sense, because in fact, it holds the essence of Sauron. It's about as impure as you're going to get, right? So, in other words, it may have started out as being gold, but once it's infused with Sauron's essence of Sauron, it's a new perfume you've never heard of and don't want.
I don't want.
Once that's in there, this is no longer a pure artifact. It cannot be. It's been adulterated. It's been made other. And I just thought, maybe there might be something in here. And so I was pulling these things together when I was talking to Verlin. And Verlin did what Verlin does so very well. When she's being interviewed, she likes to turn it around and start interviewing you, which had me all completely flustered. It's like, oh, but this was just an idea, and I haven't, written it all up yet. But she was very encouraging, and I thought, well, okay, I'll give that a go. And it was lovely that it was received so well, because it's a little bit out there. But I think it got people thinking, and that's all you ever really want. When you've written something and put it out there for the world. But it was it was an odd experience, because it was something that was kind of personal that I thought was a bit strange, and I don't know how people are going to take this. And so it was a bit like, okay, fly, my pretty fly, and let's see what happens.
I love that. That's it. That's so cool. This embodies, which I loved this quote from Tolkien since college, which is long enough ago. I dislike allegory and like that whole thing, but he says, I prefer history real or feigned, and I'm probably going to get the phrasing wrong. And it's, oh gosh, now I can't even think of it, but it's how it applies, applicability to each and every person. And and but that's exactly like what happened here. He's like, hey, this is the story. However you want to see it, however it like speaks to you, that's great. Just
Mhm.
don't take it as it means it means
Yeah, don't put
this.
an equal sign in there.
Right.
Yes.
And that's like, I don't know, that's just so cool because it's exactly what you did, probably without, I would say, without fully realizing it, did exactly what he wanted you to do. What the professor wanted you to do in reading his stuff is just going, that's cool. It kind of means this. And yeah, and every time since I read the article, like as I go along, I'm like, the ring's not gold. It's been like an earworm in the back of my head. This is fascinating. So it's just never, it's always like gold or golden. I
Mhm.
have it.
Yeah,
We always
and
talk
I
about
think
that.
I pointed out in the article
It's fascinating.
that in actual fact, Tolkien uses a lot of dissembling language around the ring,
Okay.
including when he creates images around the ring, imagery. He
Mm.
uses simile, not metaphor, and simile as like,
Mm.
like something or as
Yeah.
something as something. It's a very distancing kind of image because
Yeah.
it's not saying it is this, it's saying it's kind of like that, which
Mm.
places it at a distance from you. And I think that's actually really important when you're looking at something like the ring, when it's being surrounded by dissembling language, when it's being described using simile, where it's almost pushing the item away from you, that
Mm.
it's creating a sense of otherness, which is absolutely right, surely, that the ring should feel like something other, because
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is something other.
That's amazing. I never would have picked up on any of this. There's that one book, The Alchemist, but I don't think that really dives into actually alchemy. And I read it a long time ago and I never would have picked up on any of this. Now, a question I have on this, as I was reading through the article, I asked the question, I wrote a question down because you say the ring is doing this, the ring is doing this a few times. So I feel the next question that kind of comes up is the ring sentient? I know this is a hotly debated topic. In your mind, is there you said the ring is doing this, the ring is doing this. So I was like, oh,
Yeah.
does she think the ring is sentient then?
Hmm. Um, there is actually quite a lot of animism in
Mhm.
Tolkien, which is where an object is imbued with agency,
Yeah,
if you like. It doesn't always mean it's sentient, but it
sure.
means it has agency, and those may be slightly different. But here's what I mean by that. For example, Turin Turambar's sword talks to him.
Mhm,
This
mhm.
is not normal, but it's because actually it is imbued with essence of Aeol, actually, its maker,
Mm.
who wasn't the most pleasantest of elves.
Well, there's reason it's
So
black, right?
yes, exactly, exactly. So it's not the only object, and I mean that's just one more example. It's not the only object in Middle Earth that has agency
Mhm,
for which Tolkien uses animism. And I think there's kind of a mix here in that the ring senses something about its bearer or something about those who are around it because Sauron needs it to do that.
mm.
It's part of Sauron is within it.
Yeah,
So it's like an extension of Sauron's will is held inside that ring.
hmm,
So it's not, it's really hard to describe how I see this in my head. It's not like, okay, here's a ring, right? Just taking my wedding ring off to give
sure.
you an example. Here's a ring, and the ring can talk to you, and it can hear what you're thinking, and it will do what it wants to do. It's not just about the ring, though, is it? It's
Mhm.
about what's inside the ring,
Yeah,
which is why I liken it to Anglachel, the
yeah,
sword,
yeah.
because actually there is a will that has been infused in this artifact, into this object. So when Sauron puts something of himself into the artifact,
Mhm.
that something then is a driver for what the
Yeah,
ring needs to do, which is to
yeah,
get back to Sauron.
right. Wow, okay. That's probably the best description I've heard of it, because everybody's like, "Is it sentient or no?" And then it's just kinda like, "Well, it's not sentient, but it It's just kind of how Tolkien writes it. So that's
Yeah,
probably
I
the
mean,
best way I've heard it.
sentience implies that it has reason, for
Yeah.
example. And I don't think a ring needs to have reasoning. It just needs to do what it does, which is to kind of channel Sauron's will through it.
Hmm.
Because one of the ways, of course, in which the ring works is it taps into your deepest desires,
Yeah.
and then it manipulates that.
Yeah.
It uses that exactly as Sauron himself would do. The
Hmm.
ring does that. So it's not like it sits there going, oh, okay, well, I know what Boromir really wants. I'm going to tell him this. It's not that kind of sentience. It's a channel for Sauron's will. And
Yeah.
so it just taps into, in the same way that Sauron would if he was standing right there. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Because it's kind
absolutely.
of complicated, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, it makes perfect sense. That's that's how I think I stole this from somebody and I don't remember who I stole it from.
Oh, we all steal from everybody,
Well,
don't
yeah.
we?
But like it's why Bombadil isn't affected because he doesn't have he's perfectly content.
Yes, he has zero
He
desires that the
yeah,
ring can actually exploit.
yeah, so he's like, "Nope, I can put it on, it's fine, everything's fine." So, yeah, that's it's magnifying that and, yeah, the whole magnifying and
Mhm.
turning it yeah, turning everything to bad,
Right, which tells you,
essentially.
of course, that Bombadil is not human, because
Yeah,
every human has something,
yeah,
some form of desire that can be manipulated.
yeah,
And within that, we can pull in the hobbits as well,
mhm, yeah,
and even the elves can be affected by it. Tom
yeah.
Bombadil is something else again.
Go I mean, yeah, even Gandalf,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, because any
Maya.
living being that has no desires of that kind that
Mhm,
can be exploited by the ring that's somebody well outside of the usual.
yeah. I I heard it on Prancing Pony podcast. They said this is way back. They said that they're kind of going with Tom Bombadil being a genus Loki,
Uh-huh.
or however you're supposed to say it. I don't know. And that I landed on that as kind of just my head canon. Obviously, knowing that Tolkien said kind of in his letters, like, but I don't know. He's just we
Yeah,
don't know what he is.
a spirit of the countryside,
Yeah,
embodiment of the countryside.
yeah.
Does it really matter? Do we have to stick a label on? Exactly, that
No,
was
it's
definitely
fun to think
Tolkien's
about
view.
and reason, just to be
Yes,
like, how could I?
very,
Okay, I
very
think this,
fun. Yes.
but
Yeah,
it's yeah,
I
it's not.
mean,
That's
it's what
crazy.
we do, isn't it? When we sit around a campfire, Tolkienistas like us, and glass of wine in hand and a "Does a Balrog have wings?" conversation going. It's what we do, and it's part of the fun of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's so fun. Um, okay. I want to respect your time. Is there anything else that you're working on currently other than your like 17 different, other than the 17 things we mentioned already? Is there anything else you're working?
Okay, well, the exciting thing right now is that there is a book coming out,
Ooh,
The Many Paths to Tolkien, which is queer readings of Tolkien's
okay.
work.
Okay.
That is coming out via McFarland in the fall.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, that's
I have
soon.
a chapter in that on Shelob as a queer mother.
Interesting.
So, yeah, very much looking forward to that coming out.
Yeah.
So there's that. I've got various conferences coming up because I've got various conferences coming up because I always do
Always.
that. Right. But I also have a chapter in a new book that's coming out that's being edited by Luke Shelton and
Mm.
Dimitri Fimi,
Oh,
which
okay.
will be the Oxford Handbook to Tolkien.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, it is going to be really, really great. And my chapter is on Tolkien and feminist theory.
Okay.
So that's all ongoing. We're all writing our
Yeah.
chapters and getting that together. And it's very hopeful that'll be out end of next year, something like that.
Okay. That one's not as imminent.
Not, no, no, it's not as imminent. And then I don't know if you know of a book called Perilous and Fair, which is it's about 10 years, 12 years old now.
I think it's on my list of things to get and read it, you know.
Okay. Well, there's going to be a new book, an updated version
Oh,
of that,
okay.
which I'm very much looking forward to, with lots more up to date readings of, feminist readings of Tolkien, but also of Tolkien's female characters.
Sure.
Lots of that coming through there. And I'm going to have a chapter in that, which is all about hair. The importance of long blonde hair in Tolkien's work. Yeah, I know. Sounds slightly strange.
Okay, okay. So I'm wondering if this is, you don't have to tell if you don't want to spoil, it's fine. I read it was just a comment on a Reddit thread, I don't know. And somebody was talking about the difference in Turin's story.
Mm-hmm.
The difference with dark hair people versus light hair people, and how Morwen has dark hair and is kind of I'm paraphrasing very heavily, kind of the source of his kind of PTSD as he has to leave. And then everybody else who's like, and then I can't remember Finduilas if she's light hair or dark hair, but his Neonor is, I believe, light hair.
Mm-hmm.
And so and so he's he just mentioned kind of something like that as you said that. I wonder if it is similar, but again, hey, no spoilers, that's fine.
Oh, don't worry, I'm not that precious about it. It's absolutely fine. No, it's not about not quite about that.
Okay.
What I'm doing is I'm taking a kind of Victorian reading of the image of long hair, particularly long blonde hair, as being the embodiment of the seductress, and very, very dangerous. And if you put that together with how, for example, Galadriel is viewed,
first thought.
then yeah, exactly. So it's kind of working along those lines.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is in the updated version of Perilous and Fair.
Okay. That's right.
Do they have any sort of date for that, or just?
That'll be at least another year.
Okay.
At least another year, because the first drafts aren't due in until the end of this year. So
it
takes time. Yeah,
plenty of time there.
Yeah, that's being edited by Claire Moore and Cami Agan. So that's going to be really good.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much again, Sarah. That was awesome. Technical difficulties aside, I think we actually kind of figured out. Been recording for a whole 23 minutes without any interruptions. So
it worked.
We know for future reference now, so that's great. So yeah, again, thank you. Maybe I have an idea of my own that I'm percolating in the back here of writing an article on. So maybe I'll have you. You'll get picked for if you're doing it, the Signum. What is it? Signum instructor tutorials. That's what it is.
Oh yeah, my name's down for that.
All right. So So I got some time before I actually jump into that, but hopefully, hey, maybe we'll get you for that one.
Oh, that sounds interesting. I'm always up for a new project.
Fun. It's all about motivations and Galadriel and Sauron. Sauron. I said that very American like. So
at least you didn't say Sauron.
Yeah. Not since I learned. Not for a few years anyway. So awesome. Again, Sarah, thank you. Everybody else, thank you so much for watching. Always remember, Auda and Tulva, they shall come again.